Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome once again to the continuing live coverage here of the 2025 U-18 Curling Championships. We are live from the Nutana Curling Club in Saskatoon. My name is Sean Joyce, joined for this broadcast by my partner Daryl McKee, and we're going to have a look at some men's action here this afternoon from Pool D. Pool A, B, and C are women's pools. D, E, and F are the men. This is Team Manitoba against Team Newfoundland, and both of these provinces, I believe, have two reps here. So Manitoba won and Newfoundland won. And Daryl, for the team out of Newfoundland, normally you get into day three and you're undefeated. That means you've been playing really well. But in this particular case, they're one of the teams that only just showed up. They played their first game this morning.
Yeah, with all the delays we had out of the east and the storms, Newfoundland got here yesterday, I think, at some point in the day, and this is day one for them. They got on the first game this morning against Nunavut, so they had a little warm-up game and won that one, and now they're playing their second game.
The teams had a chance to draw.
14-3, you're gone.
Apologies for the technical difficulty. Sounds like Daryl's having a little trouble with his mic. It's not that he didn't answer me. He's not being rude. we just can't hear his mic. So for now, you just get to listen to me. Draw to the button before the game to determine last rock. It was the Newfoundland team winning that draw to the button, so they've got last rock throwing the Yellowstones here in the opening end of play. This is the lead, Tyler Murphy. The second is Matthew Kosh. Third, Alex Manuel. And the skip, Ephraim Noel. The coach is Gary Ryan, and they play out of the St. John's Curling Club Remax Center. For the Manitoba team, they've actually got a five-person roster. Their alternate not playing this game is Quinn Legacy, the lead, Ryan Thiessen.
Yeah,
Tanner Treichel is the second. Tyler Fair the third, and Nash Sugden the skip. Gary Tichkowski is the coach of the team, and they play out of the Morden Curling Club in Morden, Manitoba. And they are off to a strong start here. They are at 3-1 now. The Newfoundland team was mentioning off the start. They played their first game this morning, and they did pick up the victory. They are 1-0. One of the other things that if you've been following along all week long, you know that we've had a few teams delayed here with their flights just getting here. Everybody is here now. We have all 42 teams are here, but there are some teams. I think there's two Prince Edward Island teams on the ice right now playing their first games. So a little bit of catch-up to play. We do know that the schedule now that you will find on the curling.ca website is up to date, and I believe for the first time written in pen as well. They've been ready to get in pencil all along. So we've got the schedule through to the end of round robin play.
Line's good. Line's great. Always tie. Hard, then you got to drag it. Yeah, always hard go. 15-4.
So, I think I'm back. Okay, hello everybody. It's Daryl McKee joining Sean Joyce now. So we're back on air.
You're excited to be here.
You betcha.
If there's an end to have your mic go mute, it's maybe an end where they've decided to play it a little bit close to the vest. And, you know, Daryl, I just have to wonder, does this come into play? And we can only speculate, but is it part of the discussion with the Newfoundland team? Of course, they're playing, everybody they're playing from here on in. It's one of the quirks of the way the draws had to be worked out with them being 2 days late getting here, is that everybody that they play now has had more games on this ice than they have. Do you play it a little close to the vest in the early couple of ends just to try to catch up as far as reading the ice?
Yeah, of course, we don't know what exactly they've discussed, but my guess would be yes. I think probably a good coach would tell them to, you know, let's get our feet under us and feel out the ice a little bit. Before we jump into it, since we are a little bit behind the 8 ball right now, having only playing our second game.
Still just the one rock in the rings. That's the Redstone now belonging to Manitoba, and the teams continue to exchange hits here in the first end.
And of course, because the fact that they got last rock in the LSD probably, gives them a little bit more opportunity to do that. So.
With the rollout, an opportunity to throw a draw this time, and without last rock, it can continue to come to the middle. They did call for it right into the rings.
So for now, Manitoba's going to play along with them, so that's keep it simple and help them keep it simple. So I'm sure Newfoundland's happy with that.
I was starting to talk to you a little bit about, and partly so we could joke about the fact that, they're undefeated coming into day 3, but they're still at 1-0, talking about the possible playoffs. And it's tough because the Manitoba team, for instance, they're 4 games into their 6-game schedule in a small pool round robin. We should be able to start seeing the playoff teams, but it's a little tougher now because some of these teams haven't played very much in the particular pool that they're playing in. The Prince Edward Island men are playing their first game right now, so you've got 2 teams that basically haven't played yet, and we know now a little bit more about the playoff format. The top 3 teams in each pool are getting in, and then there's one, however you want to call it, wild card. That's not really the right term,
record.
but it's the next best record across the 3 pools. And usually when you get into a situation like that, when your next best record across 3 pools, and that's going to be the 4th place team, pretty good chance that's going to be a tiebreaker, which comes down to your draw to the button all week long. So those draw to the buttons very important, not just for hammer in the game, but could decide a playoff spot.
Yeah, it's getting more and more the norm to not have any tiebreakers, just especially with round robins and tight schedules. So there definitely won't be any tiebreakers here. That LSD is going to be huge.
So what we will tell you in this Pool D, the men's Pool D, Quebec leading the pool right now. They're 4-0. This Manitoba team that we're watching is 3-1. Sitting in second place, the Alberta 2 men's team sits at 2-2, and actually technically right now in 4th place. This Newfoundland team with a record of 1-0, having won their game this morning.
Yeah, normally today would be probably considered moving day, but that's probably as far as a round robin goes in standings, but that's certainly going to be delayed now with Newfoundland and PEI's compact schedule. They're going to play all 6 of their games over the next 2.5 days, basically, and the playoffs will start Friday afternoon.
It does make scoreboard watching a little tougher.
Yeah, definitely.
Or at least it makes it a little different. You won't be looking over your shoulder. They'll actually, if they want a scoreboard watch, they're going to have to come back and watch a bunch of draws between games.
Yeah, some of these teams might be done their round robin tomorrow, and there might be teams still with 4 games to play. So it's going to be, they're going to be delayed. They're going to be scoreboard watching a lot, those teams that have been here all week.
There are, I think, 3 teams on the ice right now playing their first game of the event. One of them, we just happened to, good fortune of where we were sitting, we happened to get a chance to talk to the one of the Nova Scotia girls teams. They were warming up right by our broadcast location, and they mentioned it's their first one. They play 2 today, 2 tomorrow, and they have the final 2 round robin draws are Friday morning. They're playing in both of those.
Yeah, and they actually said their flight got in after 1 a.m. this morning, so they actually arrived today and are on the ice
yes.
now. So yeah, unfortunate with the delays, but the Curling Canada and the organizers have done a fantastic job on reorganizing the schedule, so none of them are defaulting any games of the 5 teams that ended up getting in here late of no fault of their own.
Yeah,
and
I'm not even sure how many times they've redone it too. It's been a work in progress all the way through. I think they had some stuff in place, if I understand things correctly, when there were 2 teams actually in a plane waiting to take off in Toronto when they had the crash. Yeah, was that just yesterday? Feels like it was just yesterday at Pearson. And so they had to get off the plane, and they were delayed for another 6 hours. So that meant they had to rejig the schedule again because they weren't getting here when they thought. So it's been redone on the fly, and full credit to the organizers from Curl Canada that they've managed to work this out so that none of these teams had to default a game, because that would be a shame. This, for some of these players, probably their first experience at a national championship, and you certainly want them to go home with a positive
absolutely.
experience.
Yeah. All I'm thankful for is it wasn't my job to redo the schedule.
Well, they finally got to use a pen. I think it's been in pencil all the way through.
Yeah.
And really right from day one, because day one was supposed to be Sunday, and there were enough teams delayed initially that we didn't start play here till Monday morning.
That's right. And we were actually supposed to have opening ceremonies on Saturday night after practices. And because we didn't have all the teams here, that's going to happen tonight at 7 p.m. So we have very delayed opening ceremonies, but we're going to get it in and get all the kids on the ice tonight and get a picture with everybody at least. And so that's going to be exciting too.
Well, they played this open end to start things off, and now the opportunity for Ephraim Noel to simply blank this first end, try to keep that last rock advantage into the second. Called the brush on right away. This might have been just a touch inside. Got big weight, good rotation. Tyler Murphy ready on the roll. They get it all the way out of play. We've got a blank on the board to start things off here in this men's round robin action. We'll have second end for you right after this.
Everything I've worked for, everything I've sacrificed, has led to this. It's out of your hands now. All the gold medals in the world can't help you now. You can throw the perfect rock and still miss, but it just takes one. You leave it all out there on the ice to leave behind a legacy.
The Canadian curling trials. The thing we cried for, fought for, thrown 1,000 rocks for. The podium, just out of reach. But we can almost taste the gold medals in our teeth. Defiant, we take down giants. With nothing but the stones in our hands. And in the stands, they wait and see who among us will earn the right to wear the maple leaf.
Second end underway here. This first stone being called for tight to the rings. They want to get it back to the center line, though, if they can. And just gets a piece of it.
Yeah, great shot there by the lead and the sweepers.
So important to get a piece of that center line now with the no tick rule being used as well.
Yeah, it definitely is, especially when it's in a nice tight guard like that. Does put the pressure on the other lead.
Well, and one of the things about that no-tick zone, it's, the intended purpose for it was you get teams that are up a little bit and they can play that tick shot, and it makes it really hard to come back, and they wanted to, promote the offense. But the unintended consequence that I think has been just equally as important, you take a shot like this, where once upon a time, and I know you've skipped a lot, Daryl, I know with myself, you might tight ice that on the theory that, well, if we rub it coming by, we get it off the center line, that's not bad. We can't do that anymore.
Yeah,
you
absolutely.
actually have to ice it to make the shot you're calling. And you've seen it change the strategy a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. You have to be a lot more careful as a skip not to tight ice it. And also the lead not to throw it tight. Because you're absolutely right. That was certainly certainly a strategy you would use as a skip, and that's
Where?
definitely changed.
Harder than both. Gotta curl. Really gotta finish it. They won't then. Good way, just heads up.
Come around attempt will finish in the back 4 foot and maybe only just a sliver in behind cover. Another chance for Tyler Murphy to come down. Could sit on top of that. I think he'd like to be in front of the tee line dead buried if he could. A little heavy on his first. We'll see if he can make the adjustment here on the second.
Line looks good. Wait only. See line. Where?
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how Newfoundland. We saw that early in the event. I think teams adjusting to the speed of this ice. It's pretty fast, and we'll see with Newfoundland only being their second game. See how fast they can adjust.
I'm going to put you on the spot, Daryl, because I know you're involved in the organizing committee here as well. Now, for the teams that were here, a lot of them had practice ice on Sunday. That's the way a lot of these events work. Day before the event starts, they've got practice ice. Now, for all of these teams that arrived late, of course, the event's already going on. There's no place for them to practice. Do you know if any of these teams had any chance to practice at all prior to the event, or their pregame practice this morning would have been the first time they touched the ice?
Yeah, unfortunately with the schedule, it's 4 games a day, and we're finishing the last draw after 10:30 at night, closer to 11. There was no room to put them in, and the fact that some of them just arrived at 1 a.m. this morning, they've had no chance to practice for pre-event practice. But with the 9 minutes before each game, I think they've got some time to get their feet under them and pick up on that. But certainly it'll be a little bit of a disadvantage for day one, I would suggest.
It's not just them struggling with it, though. The Manitoba team that has been here all along struggling with the draw weight here in this second end as well.
Gotta slow down, boys.
This, and I haven't looked at the full schedule, so I don't know whether either one of these teams has played on Sheet A yet. Now, of course, Sheet A is the only one out there. We've got bleachers on the side. And the side that they're throwing off of right now is the side that the crowd is on. One of the things that you and I observed during practice, this side does seem to run a lot longer. There's still plenty of movement, but it's very, very late. Whereas the other side's a little bit more gradual, the break point's a little earlier. That could throw them off here as well, too, because if you're a little bit warm here, it stays out longer, and by the time it curls, you're going by everything.
Looks heavy.
Yeah, we haven't noticed that before this game, but certainly it's a possibility. It's going to be a little bit warmer over there with the fans next to the sheet. And we have a pretty good crowd today. So.
It's my third game announcing, and I haven't seen this much play on this side of the sheet. I did talk to one of the coaches after the first draw I did, and he said, well, part of their discussion is because you just don't know what's going to happen when there's a crowd over there. They consciously stayed away from that side as much as they could, just so that they didn't have to figure it out. That doesn't seem to be in the playbook for either of these teams.
No, interesting. They're playing this side quite a bit. That last draw I just timed at 15.7 to top 4 foot, so it is fast. So.
The other thing is, and you noticed this during one of the breaks, mentioned that this is probably the best crowd we've had out there on the ice so far. I mean, it is cold to sit out there, but it's pretty full out there right now for, oh, it's hard to remember what day it is. We're Wednesday afternoon here.
Yeah, for those of you not in Saskatchewan right now, I think yesterday we were the coldest place on the planet, so we got minus 40.6, I think, overnight and set a record. So we still have today to get through that, and then it starts warming up a little bit.
And I think the wind chill was minus 47, if I saw that correctly. And we're projected for +1 on Friday. Go figure that one out.
Yeah, which will be interesting, too, for our ice makers to... I don't suspect they're going to have any problems, but it's certainly going to be interesting to see what happens in the next couple days with that as well. Our ice maker, Lawrence Coucheran, here has just about seen it all, and we call him kind of the artist of ice making out here. He doesn't always do the same thing twice, but he always seems to have great ice, so we don't argue with him too much.
With the rollout, just the one Manitoba stone in the rings, as well as their guard out tight on the center line. Noel looking for the hit and roll behind cover was the indication.
10. Yeah. All the way, Tyler. All the way.
On the brush right away.
All the way, you got it. All the way.
Will make the hit enough to remove it, but the shooter will roll out of play as well. So now just the one stone left in play, that tight center guard belonging to Manitoba, and a chance to come around it.
Want to go that side, we know it.
It is worth noting that the way the pregame draw to the button works,
Lot of room.
both teams throw both
Always
sides, so
banner.
there's no real advantage to one side or the other. They both, you mentioned they know it. Well, they know the
Line's
other
really
side too,
close.
but this side's been
Ryan,
played all
Ryan,
in.
Ryan,
It should
Ryan,
be
Ryan.
full speed here.
Ryan, hard. Hard to get by, hard. Hard. Hard, you really got to go. Roll off, roll off, roll off.
Just going to rub that stone on the way by. Probably just a little bit light. If he's got a few more feet out of his hand, it carries by that guard a little better, and then they could sweep just at the end to finish it.
Draw. Hit. Hit, okay. I think throw 10-5.
Still, it is shot rock, a stone that the Newfoundland team is going to have to deal with. Probably ideally, you want to hit this right on the nose, stay right there. You roll away a little bit to give them room to roll underneath.
Really wide.
Maybe a little tight on his first one. This one's out there. Curling now. Gonna make the hit. Will the shooter stick around? No, it will roll just out of play, touch the divider, and another chance for the come around for this Manitoba
Sweepers,
team.
cut it in.
Skip Stones left to come.
No. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see if Nash can tuck this one a little better, and
I'm assuming it's
certainly be trying to get a top 4 foot here and set up a steal.
Hey. Top 4 is good.
Top 4 bite the button. You're probably in a good spot to steal, but anywhere dead buried certainly gives you the chance to at least get the force here.
Where? Hard straight, hard straight.
This has got a little bit more weight.
Line's great, line's good.
And that's what we were observing earlier on. That rock
Get
stayed
him on
out
the
there a lot
guard.
longer. I think we even heard them call at one point in time they're worried about keeping it straight, but with that little bit more weight and staying out there longer, it's no trouble getting by the guard. It did slide to the back 4 foot.
A little less in the middle as well.
Yeah, I did notice he took a little bit more ice on that one, so it did run out there, run down that spot a little bit longer before it broke. But
To draw.
certainly the little bit extra weight didn't help that either.
We can freeze if one's deep, but if we can, just try to get us top 4. There's no board.
Certainly gives Ephraim here a chance to freeze onto this one and get a force and possibly a steal if he gets it in there good.
I think it's curling all right.
Matthew Kosh is the second, but he holds the broom. Ephraim Noel the skip.
It's
with his
interesting.
first.
Interesting how many teams are doing that now, and not necessarily the vice holding the broom. They're
Curl
really
it,
looking
curl it.
at
Doesn't look
their
curl,
sweeping
curl.
abilities and line calling abilities. And
Oh, that is going sideways. That might have grabbed something.
It was
yeah,
on
I
track
think
to
that
be a
definitely
freeze.
picked something, and
It was on track to be pretty good.
that was not natural curl. But
Yeah, you wouldn't if you just looked at the view from the hack here at what's in the house, you wouldn't think he got that yellow one there with an out-turn draw between the two reds.
No, definitely not.
You wouldn't call that shot.
No. And it lost its handle as well, so he was all basic
Deal
tips.
or no? Like you play top 4 and get it even half there.
Manitoba team
I mean, you
using
just threw
the
it.
coaches interaction here.
Yeah.
You're done with it, right? So, like,
Yeah, it's okay for later.
So I think the first indication was they were looking to come around,
Play aggressive, right?
and the coach wanted to talk about it.
Top
So
4, top 8's fine. Like never deeper than top 4. A guard is fine. Yeah. Gotta be happy.
but I think they've gone back to that initial call. The other possibility you could talk about just hitting the back one and make sure you got your force, but it'd be tough for him to throw anything to score 2 if you didn't even throw this rock. And if you make a good draw here, we're talking about a possible steal. And really, if you're top 4 foot, where he can't just follow it down and sit on top of it, you might force him to the other turn for the first time in the end. You could steal 2.
Absolutely, it's a great opportunity to be aggressive. I don't think there's any question this is the right call.
Line's great. Line's great.
Especially having the fact that he just threw the same shot exactly. So.
There is that movement late. It rides out there, but it does move big at the end. Now, not quite as big as the Newfoundland stone just went. Well, they could stop there.
Great shot.
See, boys.
He is going to force him
Yeah.
to play the other turn, which is
Man,
exactly, I think, what he would like to see.
makes their draw like so hard. Yeah.
I have been getting some times on all these outturn draws around the center, so everything pretty much 15-5 to the tee line seems to be the weight. So we'll see. I'll get a clock on this one too and see
Yeah.
if there's any difference.
But there's been 13 rocks down that side
Yeah.
this end. It's going to be lightning quick, and this side has sat since, I guess there were a couple of shots played down here in the first, but it's always a little iffy. I mean, even playing our club games here, I'm sure you've noticed the same thing, Daryl. You play a whole end down one side, that other side's going to be a little different.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a reciprocal effect from the sweeping that lasts for a little while on the one side. So this is going to be a green path for this end.
How's weight?
Rushers have not touched this yet. The weight will come off when it starts to curl. It's moving now.
13-7. Curl. Hard curl. 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 Curl.
Urging sweep for curl, but it's hard to make it curl and slow down at the same time. You can pick one or the other. And it will slide just a little too far, rubs off that stone, but it's a steal of 2 here. Manitoba boys team will jump up to a 2-0 lead after the second. Newfoundland with last rock once again in the third.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house.
From cash spiels to grand slams, club competitions to world championships, there's a lot to keep up with on the pebbled ice. Stay up to date with the Hardline Curling Show, your weekly source for everything curling, with the latest event results, breaking news, interviews with players, executives, and insiders, plus behind-the-scenes access you won't get anywhere else. Follow us on Facebook, X, Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube. Make sure you don't miss a thing.
Well, a steal of 2, and we've got points on the board here in this third end. And even at that, a guard thrown up. See a lot of teams go right into the house when they've got a 2-point lead. Newfoundland happy to have the opportunity, but they're going to come around the center as well. I thought they might throw the corner guard here.
Yeah, the one thing this does by throwing the center guard in Manitoba, even though they're 2 up, it does tend to force the play to the center again, which can be to their benefit.
Yeah. We will see, again, the teams playing on the side closest to the crowd, so the opposite turn to the way they were playing last time, but they're playing that same side of the sheet, which is a little bit quicker. We had a chance to talk about it in the break. Talked about, you were talking about 15 and a half on your watch, and our watch isn't going to match theirs because we've got a different vantage point, right? The sweepers, when they sweep, when they click the watch at the first hog line, they're going to be right there. We're, 120 feet away. So you had 14, they had 13.7, and you had 15.5 on the other side. So it is heavier on that other side. He was only 6 feet heavy. It wasn't a horrible guess, but it's a guess. That's what you run into. Well, here we've got them, both teams again, playing that same side of that sheet, and the potential exists for it to happen again, where if you can force somebody to throw the other side late in the end, it's a guess.
Yeah, definitely, and I think that's exactly why they threw it a little harder as a guess, Ephraim, and he just guessed a little bit wrong, unfortunately.
It certainly ups the degree of difficulty on a shot like that when you can't throw it with that confidence that you know what the speed's supposed to be. It's not just for the thrower, because the brushers don't know either.
Yeah, it's probably as important for the brushers as the thrower, because they have to know as well. Brushing is getting to be such a big part of the game. These young, strong players can probably drag a rock 6 to 10 feet on good ice. So.
But they have to know they have to sweep. If you throw, on that side where it's a little bit heavier, if you throw top 12-foot weight out of your hand to the brushers, who have watched every rock go down the other side, they might be looking at that saying, well, that looks good. And then they don't touch it all the way down, and, well, it comes up short. Where if they'd have known. So that's the thing. It's not just the thrower that's guessing. It's the brushers that are guessing. The line runs a little different, so it's different for the line caller as well.
Yeah, definitely, and that's the case. And unfortunately, he threw what an old second of mine used to call a walk the dog. Where you don't get to sweep at all, and it's like you're walking the dog out there. But certainly not his fault. It was a like we say, a guess, and he just guessed a little wrong. And
well, Ephraim Noel with his, Nash Sugden, his final stone, put it in such a good spot. He didn't even have the option to draw the other side, just hold him to one. He was either going to hit the button and score, or he was giving up 2.
Yeah, exactly.
And he had to play that turn. He just couldn't get there with the other turn. Now, because of the angle of the stones in the house, it looks a little more natural. You could still get there with the in-turn as we're throwing this direction, but he's going to elect to play the out turn.
Yeah, and I think the reason is, like you say, the angles. If he comes in and comes onto that one that's on the top of the 2 reds, he'll actually push it even with those 2 and sit right in the pocket. So if you come the other way, you probably roll off a little bit too much. So smart call by the skip.
Yes, hard. Hard all the way. It's really light. We're 15-6, boys. You got to go all the way, all the way, all the way. Take it there. All the way. All the way, all the way, all the way. Just try to get those things. I had not enough ice there. My bad.
Just a little bit light. They did get it down to the corner of that red stone, but not the corner they would have liked. It's on the other side. Manitoba still sitting 2.
Full buried though.
Right in the pocket.
Going that way.
Put her to sleep.
Just on the center line.
They're starting to play this side pretty hard now on this end, so my guess is it's going to come up pretty quick to the speed of the other side, and then the sheet will be pretty uniform, but
top 4, top 8.
we'll watch it as we go
Line's
here.
great. Always tie. Hard for the tick. Hard.
And I still maintain, we talked about it again during the before the opening. This side, we noticed this in practice as well. Certainly the break point is earlier. That rock started to curl a lot earlier. Now it was a little light as well. And that's a challenge for these skips. When the 2 sides run a little different, you can certainly get to the same spot both ways, but the path is different. This one's going to curl earlier. The other side certainly moves big late.
Whoa! Where? Whoa! Gotta curl if we can. It's gonna run. It's really gonna run. All the way, curl. 14-4. See if you can get a little.
Trying to sweep for curl, but just that little bit strong, and it will slide to the back gate. Does rub off the Yellowstone. Manitoba continues to sit 2.
You gotta peel. Top 4. Just top button. Top 4 is fine. Air wide, Tanner. Line's close. Close for line.
Starting
Mark
to curl
Tanner.
already.
Line's great. Line's great. Straight, hard run. Hey, whoa. You're not there.
Again, just that little bit light.
If they ever get one in there, I'm fine with that. Draw or peel? You gotta get rid of something. Peel?
It's a valid question. Do you draw or you peel? 'Cause
Yeah, it is
you get one in there now, you got a chance to score 1. The problem with the peel, and I'm not saying the peel is wrong, just because of the way they're lined up, it's hard. You're not getting all 3 of these.
No,
Even
it's
if-
interesting. He's choosing to peel it from the intern side.
This is the tougher way to get the 2 of them for sure.
Mhm.
You need to cross it really to make sure you roll out of the way. You don't want to leave your shooter right there.
Yeah, it's a pretty easy peel if you hit the right side of the rock as we're looking at it now.
Getting the tick double and maybe get 3 of them moving. Nope. Got the tick and touched the second one, but barely moved it. Probably changes the come around.
Top 4.
Yeah, Manitoba's got a real chance to really put the pressure on him here now if they can get one in a good spot.
Yeah, you could still get there from the other side.
Oh, yeah.
It just looks a little more natural to come this way.
Yeah, definitely easier this way, but certainly you could get there with the amount of curl and that. And it does seem like that side away from the stands does curl a little bit harder.
Line's good, Tanner. Hard line.
This is tighter line than some of the draws we've seen coming down here.
Yeah, hard for line for a guard. Hard for a guard. Okay, well. That's okay.
Both teams struggling a little bit this end with draw weight all of a sudden, which is interesting. It seemed like they kind of had it under control the
Yeah.
last end, and now they're.
Try another.
Well, I wonder, and of course, we can't get in between their ears to know, but you just have to wonder on a shot like that because you're sitting pretty good in the house. There can always be that tendency to sit there and say, well, I'm not going to be heavy on this.
Yeah, which is absolutely right. The right thing to do is not be heavy on that shot. So.
Hits this right, you might be able to get all 3 guards moving this time.
Yep. Yep. Hard on ours once it hits.
Gets 1, gets 2, touches the 3rd. It's going to come back and make contact with the stones in the 4-foot. They lose their own. That's not the end of the world. That rock really wasn't helping them.
I mean, even if he gets it here,
They got the 3 red stones off the center line. The only problem is they left their shooter on the center line, and it's still guarding those 2 red stones in the button area.
If we get it just on this side of the 3, it blocks the guard, and if he ever hits it, all of his yellows go. If we're up here, that's fine. Yeah, curls a bit on this side more. What? Yeah, I think so. 1, 2.
Yeah, again, another opportunity for Manitoba to
Top
really
4.
put the heat on Newfoundland here if they can get one top 4 on the center line.
Even if
Honestly,
you're on the right side
even
of it
if
a little
he's,
bit, then it guards the draw. But
full 12-foot, bite the 8,
top eight's fine,
Yeah.
like,
split
never
the center,
tap.
he's kind of taken away both turns. But you're right, if he gets top 4,
tap it.
you sit 3 again, and he might have to run the guard back just to try to make sure he's got somewhere to throw with his last one.
Yeah, I think if he does get it there, he's definitely going to have to run the guard back. He leaves him the pocket with the out turn. He might choose to draw, but otherwise he's definitely going to have to peel.
Line's tight. Line's good, line's good. Line's good. Line's good. Yeah, curl, curl. Straight, straight. Hard. Straight up.
You know, I will say that shows pretty good awareness from the players about how much curl there is in this ice. You saw how much that by the guard by, and they're worried that the line was tight. I mean, it's not catching them by surprise. They know that movement is there, and it's all late.
Yeah. Yeah, they, well, again, Manitoba's had
It'll all go
4
fine.
games already to figure
Just
that
come
out.
out the
So
back. That'll go over the top.
they've definitely
You
got a
may
good
be left
handle
with
on
one
it.
or
That's
two
for
back
sure.
here. You can use that for your
You
last
do have
shot.
to be
You
careful
wanna
out
try
here
to get one in there for now.
to
I mean,
start
I don't
carving
mind
a
if you
rock
wanna
too
smash
early,
that.
because you can overcarve it pretty easy.
Well,
Especially
and if
again
you
with
smash
these
it and you beat
strong
it,
young
it'll stay right there.
sweepers.
What do you think?
I don't hate smashing that.
All right. Well, yeah, I don't mind that. This'll go. That'll go. Yeah. Well, so if you're gonna take on that shot, you got to take it and fire very efficiently with good firm release, right? In nice speed. If you play the draw, well, you say is there the draw's there. Which is easier? Like, what do you think?
I'll try to draw. I don't know. The thing is, I don't want to have to draw against like forward in my last shot. If I miss the draw,
He'll put another. Make him.
I have nothing.
All right.
So I think it's better to shoot this.
Smash it.
Awesome to be able to listen to their thought process, Sean, and
Yeah.
he certainly is leaning towards the peel from the skip's point of view.
Yeah, peeling the guard doesn't really help you at this point in time. It's the issue here, and part of what they discussed, I think he's trying to hit this first one as thin as he can to try to squirt it over the top. He knows he's not going to kill all the rids, but you can certainly get a couple of them out of the forefoot and give yourself some room to draw. You could play the draw right now and just hope that that's good enough to get your one, assuming you make it. But there's always the danger if you put it right on the pin, Manitoba might be able to just slash the one they just threw and kill it, and then you're drawing against 3 and having to hit the pin with your last one. He's hoping to open up a little more room if he can hit this right.
Yeah, I think this is definitely the right shot to call right now.
He's got to make contact, though. He's close. Well, he needed to make a little more contact than that.
Yeah, he hit it so thin he didn't have the momentum to kill that top one.
The only one he moved was the back yellow, so now he's already facing
Even if
4.
he gets on this one, I think his shot's probably doing this and just giving us one. To guard
Yeah,
that.
he's taken out,
Like, we're sitting
taken away any
40,
draw
more in
he had before. So
I like here. Anywhere on this line.
Don't know, and I think that's what
His only shot's to try to play tap something.
what
at that.
Sugden is discussing is he doesn't.
Yeah.
The only shot he's got right now looks like the
Like, if
in-turn
we're-
draw
if
to
he's
get to
running
that
that
one at
back,
the
I
side
don't
of the
care.
button, and that's just to hold him to a steal of 1. I don't think he can score.
or the run back.
This
The only
guard,
way he can score
like, we're sitting
He'd have
if he
to make
doesn't
a
throw
triple
now
with
is
the
to
run
make the
back.
run back triple.
And stick it.
Yeah, and stick it. So just
But-
a routine
yeah.
shot.
Like anywhere that's guarding that line. He's gonna.
But if he can actually take
He could corner
both away
freeze his
if he
own,
gets
yeah.
around this yellow and anywhere in the top house around that yellow, he's going to take everything away, I think.
All for line here. Like a 16-5 probably.
Tell you what, you corner freeze that one on the top of the button. He's got to play the run back, stick it, make a triple to hold him to a steal of 1, because it won't make contact with the one at the side of the button if you get the corner freeze here.
Inside.
Yeah,
Try to
he
bring it there.
just about got the worst result possible with his last one, unfortunately.
Gotta bring it there. Or tick off. Okay, Wolf. Get a tick.
This is over curling, so they're going to try to rub the guard just to straighten it out, just enough to cover up the stones in the forefoot area.
Try that.
He might have left them no choice but to run back down. But he did lead in the run back.
Like there's no draw or like more later.
That same draw is probably still there to hold him to 1, but it's really tough.
Oh,
Like you've got to move that rock.
Yeah, he's
Will
going
it?
to move it and stay there on the buttons. It's going to be tough. And I do think that stand side or intern, in this case draw, is a little bit straighter. He can get there, but it's going to have to be perfect weight just to tap that enough and stay second shot. There's no way he's scoring with that shot.
No, no, he can't get inside the edge of that enough to get shot rock over the one at the top of the button.
I think the draw's easier. Draw's kind of easier. If we run that back, then we're not getting.
Yeah, if you peel it off.
I think so.
How much ice on this?
I heard him say he thinks the draw is easier. Easier is a relative term here.
Definitely. These are both high difficulty shots.
Yeah, a run back triple's never a gimme either. If he played the run back, he'd have to dead stick it on the top redstone just to have any chance to cut the end down. If you run it across, like you could still very easily, you could be very close to making it and still give up 3.
It has to be perfect, yeah. So he's going to draw. We'll see. He can cut him down here.
How's weight? Line's fine. Straight. Yep.
It'll run out here for a while. All the movement is late. That'll help him.
Mine looks pretty good.
Curl. Hard curl. Hard curl. Hard curl.
Maybe just a little bit strong. He'll rub. Now, how far does it roll? It's going to roll too far.
4.
And it is still 4 points. A steal of 4 for Manitoba, and they jump out to a huge 6-0 lead here in this men's round robin action, trying to keep themselves in the hunt for first place in Pool D. We'll have fourth end action for you after this.
One of the things that someone once told me was, you never know when you're going to get back, and you always want to make sure to focus on the competition, of course, because that's what you're there for, but you always want to be able to enjoy the opportunity and what's in front of you. So it'll very quickly, I don't find it difficult to get focused on the ice. I'm usually quite in a bubble, and I don't really know what's going on the other sheets or around me. So on my side of things, that's not a big problem, but yeah, just making sure you find that balance, because there are so many neat things that are going on outside of just the ice, from the telethon to the youth programming. We've got future stars with us. There's just so many things that are exciting, and we want to be part of it all and experience it all.
Sean Joyce, Daryl McKee with you here live from the Nutana Curling Club in Saskatoon. Fourth end action. Manitoba boys have a 6-0 lead and not interested in throwing any more guards now. They've called for this first one into the rings. We'll get just full 12. And now we're going to see some corner guards thrown up. This Newfoundland team's going to have to play a little aggressively now to try to get themselves back in the game.
Yeah, nothing else. Try and get a deuce here and get your feet back under you and peck away.
Their undefeated record is on the line here. I don't know how many times I can milk that in one game, but we'll see.
Sure, it's 16. We're well in. We're well in. Take the deep. I didn't hear a single weight judge there. You gotta say something.
Unfortunately, that rock does slide into the rings, so it can be hit, and right out of his hand, that looked like it might have got going a little bit when he let it go. Soft release. Brusher's trying to hold the line.
Really gotta go.
Still might have a piece.
Yeah, that was a great sweep to hold that one, I think.
Just down.
again.
One more chance to throw a free guard here on the corner.
Yeah, Tyler Murphy's going to try and redeem himself here and put one, get up a corner.
Nothing out of the brushers yet on this one either, and they're calling top 8.
Like, we can't be in on these. Just take it deep, I suppose. Take it deep, take it deep, take it deep, take it deep. Yeah, well, we can't be in on these. Just let him know. Like, light of anything.
This goes back to something you said earlier, Daryl. You just don't know what kind of speed these guys are used to. This is only their second game.
Whoa,
And it is quite quick here. And struggling. The struggles with the draw weight have been a little bit for both teams in this game. We've seen a number of rocks behind the tee line.
Yeah, that's, I mean, 50.5 is fast. So there's a very small difference between, you know, tee line and 2 feet in front of the rings. So right now they're struggling with it a little bit, but they'll pick it up.
So they are going to make a play on this stone in the 8-foot. I thought he still might throw a guard.
Whoa!
I think the scoreboard says you could still think about it anyway.
Whoa!
Yeah, definitely.
Yep. Good shot, it's a good shot. Hard on the roll, hard on the roll. That's mine, I guess.
Makes the hit, rolls towards the red stone in the 12-foot, but just stays fully open.
Yeah.
Tanner's going to throw a half weight shot here.
But he might have got this a little bit inside. Not going to get by the red at the top of the 12.
It's okay.
Rubs it over, but it does hang on for a bite at the side of the 12-foot.
Yeah, so we'll see now
Do you want
whether
a guard or do you want to try just
Ephraim's going to try and hold that 2 points,
split?
2-point possibility by splitting the rings, or he's going to try and guard that one.
I thought he might throw the corner guard in between the two as well. That's another option.
Looks like they're actually hitting the side one right now. The call.
What am I throwing? Need more than that.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think they were throwing the hit, so that the coach has come out and said, the scoreboard says you're not hitting that.
We got to be shot rock, right? We stay out
Yeah,
here,
that side one's not
at least
going
we're shot rock
to,
over there.
certainly
He's gonna start
shouldn't
hitting
hurt
that.
them.
We're playing for 2 anyway. But if we get a chance to freeze in the midst, maybe we might be able to get a 3rd point. So if we hit it, we can roll out, and he's hitting that, and we're gone. All right.
Some good advice from the coach on this one, so they're going to choose to draw over to that side and split the house.
Whoa! Looks good. Yep. Whoa. Yes. Okay, hard.
This is really going sideways.
We don't need to go straight. We just need to go for weight only. Whoa! Boys, why are you going on that?
Don't know how many chances they would have had to throw out there. Even less for a team like this that's only playing in their 2nd game. That's a really good throw to the wings.
Yeah, definitely.
Sits 2. Didn't get the corner freeze, but sits the 2.
I don't mind that. I like that, yeah.
Tyler Fair looking just to hit and roll over in that direction.
Hard.
This is curling.
Really got to go for nose. Just moves there. I thought it was going to hang on that side.
Gets the nose hit, does stay for shot rock, and a chance now for the Newfoundland squad to hit and roll to the open side, and they'll have their 2 rocks well spread out. We're into third stones. Makes it hard to get back to grouping them for a double. Don't have to hold the deuce very long now. Need this roll.
Whoa! Whoa! Real curling.
Yep,
Really
yep,
curling.
yes.
Really curling. Gotta go. Hard, all the way, all the way. Yeah. Guys, just
Gets the
don't go
hit,
for
but
line
actually
unless
rolls
I
just
say
to the
something, okay?
other side of the center line.
Which is actually a pretty good roll. It makes the double steep, so they're just going to play the hit and roll, try and hit and roll in front.
Still gives them a chance to group the rocks, though.
Oh yeah, well they're going to have that chance probably all in, I think. It's never easy to
Yeah,
hold a
yeah.
deuce in the rings for 4 or 5 rocks, even for the top teams in the world.
Yeah, they needed the roll to the wings on the last one. This is close.
Yep. Hard roll, hard roll, hard roll.
He's got the hit.
Very nice.
That actually moved up big on them at the end. He gets about a rock's width roll, but looked most of the way down like he was going to roll a little farther, maybe on top of that yellow. Still plenty of room for the Newfoundland team to drive this by the yellow and roll to the open side. The problem now, it's up about 3 rocks higher. Even if you roll to the open side, the angle's probably okay for an attempt at the double.
Yeah, probably his best case scenario is to almost nose it or maybe roll a rock to the inside, keep the angle steep. He's still going to have the ability to roll on top, but
Whoa. Yep. Yeah, all the way, all the way. Yep. Okay, hard on the roll. Okay, that's my bad.
which is what he did. So he's going to have to probably, if he plays the double, he's going to have to play the steep slash.
Slash. It's there, though.
Oh yeah.
I think you play that. If you ever splits out, two's fine, right? If you ever get that though and roll here, that's great.
I don't think you're staying if you're making the double.
No, not unless you're throwing soft weight.
Stick around with the 9
I'd
there.
be surprised if he does that, but
Okay. 9 got hit there, so probably here. If you ever knows it, that's fine too. That's like not the end of the world.
it's probably a
This 9. Trying to make that
thin
double.
half, Sean, to make the double. Probably even a third.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
seeing a third.
Yeah. Try to roll this one over, but we gotta stick around.
Which is interesting because he keeps talking about they got to stick around. Well, if you're hitting a third with enough weight to make the double, you're not sticking around. So
Yeah, and I don't
you
think
have to commit to what you're playing here.
Yeah, and I don't think sticking around really, honestly, matters in this case. You just really want to prevent him from getting a deuce.
Yeah,
Yeah.
No. So I hit this.
shot rock.
Yeah. I think we just honestly
It's really close, but I think it's red, so I think he's going to have to
like they
hit this one
I don't
still.
think they have a really easy double if we know, so I like yeah.
Problem with it, if he noses this one and
How aggressive do you want to play here, Daryl? Would you ever try to hit and roll ever so slightly past the yellow, actually? Still, you'd have to throw with quiet weight because you need to roll a little bit steeper, but if you can roll over kind of in front of that red.
I don't think I would play that, but I think I'd try and nose this or roll again, half a rock to the center line, make the double as tough as possible or as risky. So he has to play a slash or a thin slash. And that always brings a flash in play or puts more in the head of the skip.
He was not narrow on this.
No, he threw it pretty aggressively.
They almost might need to sweep this to get the double on the reds, or is he right by it? Right by it.
Yeah, that's perfect. Right? Makes his shot harder. I think that ice is pretty good at the 10.
Well, another
sure you
opportunity
hold
now
it
for
there, it
Manitoba
doesn't
to put
jump.
some pressure on. If he could roll to the back side of the 8-foot, might be able to get a sliver of the 4-foot. Certainly he's got the force right now, but he can even make the draw for one a little tougher if he can get a bite of the forefoot. Full 8 at least. And he would once again probably force Ephraim to throw that draw on the other side of the sheet, which once again, nobody's looked at it all end long.
Yeah, not this way. They played it a lot the other way, but they haven't played it this way.
Big! Yep. Hard, right up. Yep.
Will make the hit, rolls over into the back of the 8-foot, does roll past the one in the 12, so it's out in the open.
Come on. Actually, take a little more. Like, yeah.
So it is the wide draw on the intern side for Ephraim Noel, who needs full 8-foot to pick up his single and get on the board. Facing 3 once again with his final stone.
Just wait.
Brusher's a little closer to this one.
Just wait.
Line looks good. It's all a matter of how
Just
far
wait.
will this slide.
Lead 8 foot. 15-4.
Weight looks pretty good. The time sounds good.
Yeah, all the way.
You know, just clean that in. He grabs a bite of the forefoot. On the board with a single here in the 4th. But Manitoba continues to lead 6-1 going into the break, and they will have last rock in the 5th.
Everything I've worked for, everything I've sacrificed, has led to this. It's out of your hands now. All the gold medals in the world can't help you now. You can throw the perfect rock and still miss, but it just takes one. You leave it all out there on the ice to leave behind a legacy.
From cash spiels to grand slams, club competitions to world championships, there's a lot to keep up with on the pebbled ice. Stay up to date with the Hardline Curling Show, your weekly source for everything curling, with the latest event results, breaking news, interviews with players, executives, and insiders, plus behind-the-scenes access you won't get anywhere else. Follow us on Facebook, X, Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube. Make sure you don't miss a thing.
The Canadian curling trials. The thing we cried for, fought for, thrown 1,000 rocks for. The podium, just out of reach. But we can almost taste the gold medals in our teeth. Defiant, we take down giants with nothing but the stones in our hands. And in the stands, they wait and see who among us will earn the right to wear the maple leaf.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house.
It was probably the most unique, beautiful, rewarding curling experience I've ever had. Having the opportunity to work in USG with the Cree Nation of Chisasibi, with Rhonda Spencer, with Roy Niacapo, just the entire community really came together, supported. We did something really tremendous, introducing a sport to a community that hasn't really had curling all that much, but there's a lot of very passionate curling fans. Radisson was a place where there's a curling club many years ago, and they haven't seen it in the region since. So we put a lot of time and effort and resources and told our stories, brought together all the Indigenous curlers, and empowered each and every one of us to share time with youth and community members.
Everything I've worked for, everything I've sacrificed, has led to this. It's out of your hands now. All the gold medals in the world can't help you now. You can throw the perfect rock and still miss, but it just takes one. You leave it all out there on the ice to leave behind a legacy.
Well, certainly a tough start here in this round-robin action for the Newfoundland team. Down 6 after the third. They did pick up their single point going into the break. And now, without Last Rock throwing up the center guard, they're going to have to play a little bit aggressively. It's nice, I guess, to get that break before you start this fifth end and have a chance to have a full team discussion with the coach about how they want to approach these last 4 ends. And it plays into it, I think, still. And I know we've talked about this a bit already, and people are going to get sick of us talking about it, but you're going to hear it for the next day, probably. Some of these teams, like this Newfoundland team, playing catch-up a little bit. They're only in their second game.
Line's great.
And they certainly have had some struggles with not just the weight, but a little bit with the line as well.
Yeah, I think the coach hopefully reiterated to them in the break that let's just try and learn as much as we can in the next few ends, you know, because they're behind a little bit. Just keep learning, stay positive, and you know, try and chip away in this game, but at least let's take something out of it for the next one.
Well, and you know, that's the other side of it. Usually by day 3, a loss could be pretty devastating, but you know, they won their game this morning. If they lose this one, they're still 1-1 on the day, and you know, honestly, very much alive for the playoff race. Yet it's, I can't even begin to imagine what goes through the mind of the players in this situation, because this is different for everybody than what they're used to. You've got the Manitoba boys here team playing their 5th game. They've only got 1 round-robin game left after this. And
yeah, exactly. And I did sense Ephraim Noel getting a little frustrated. I mean, certainly the score and probably the long travel days they experienced trying to get here, and all the frustrations with getting here is probably playing into that. But you know, you got to try and put that behind you the best you can, and like I say, take something out of this game positive for the rest of your round robin, because like you say, they still got lots of games left.
yeah, well, and you just wonder, does some of that frustration come from the fact, again, saying it again for the umpteenth time, that they're only on their 2nd game. Like he probably feels like he's a little behind the other team, but he is. Like he's literally behind them by 4 games. Yeah. They've had 3 days already to read this ice.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's out of your control at this point.
It is.
You have to kind of deal with the hand you're given and be thankful you're here and playing, but that's not always easy.
It can be hard to think about that in the moment, though. It's
Absolutely.
Certainly as a skip, you can just feel like he's not keeping up to the other skip, and it can be really hard to remember that, you know, there might be a reason for that right now. We're playing catch up a little bit.
Yeah, especially when you're young, and not just when you're young, we have those same challenges, but Certainly,
Well,
you know, he hasn't got the same experience.
It's different for us, though. Our challenge is whether or not we can remember what the rock did in the third hand.
Very true.
Get to seniors, and it's a different challenge. Can't remember my teammate's name. Don't remember if we threw this shot before. What color are we throwing?
Well, that's the challenge we always seem to have. Our goal usually now is just try and pick the same color every game so that we don't throw the wrong color through the event. So that's in fact what we did in the senior spiel we played in last time. We had just flipped the rocks here at Nutana, and so it was all new for all of us, and we just said, let's just take yellow all the way through so we don't throw the wrong color.
Did you do that just because you saw what happened to us? We threw our 3/4 of our practice session with the wrong color stones because we'd had the reds all the way through up until then, and somebody got in the hacks without even thinking.
Yeah, I did see that, Sean. We were having a little bit of a laugh about that, how you had to go down now throw the other color for your LSD.
I had some fun with that, though, too. I had a chance to make a split for 2 with my last shot in the first hand, and I commented after I threw it, couldn't have made that shot with the red stones. Had to throw yellow.
Oh, man. When things are going well, they keep going well, it seems like some games. He ticked the center, but came off his side when a rolled back button.
Yeah.
In some games, that's just the way it goes. And I often say this to my team, and when something odd happens and one of them really hates it, although he's starting to grow on him, is that's curling, and that's generally how it goes. Some games, no matter what you do, turns to gold, and the next game, not so much.
All the way, all the way, all the way. All the way, all the way, all the way, all the way, all the way. You gotta get by.
Matthew Kosh with a pretty good result there. They were trying to get to the back one, but I actually don't mind that call. They get the corner freeze on the front one, and it kind of looks like if you could ever make a play on that yellow, it might clip the back red one as well.
Yeah, it's going to force Manitoba now if they're going to keep peeling, which is
Like if they ever get
probably
to this,
generally
they might drag it back.
what you'd want to do here. Then it actually helps Newfoundland here because they can get to that one and tap it out.
It's one of the things, and certainly with a young skip, it can be hard to think of these things sometimes. But, you know, with the Newfoundland team, they're trailing. It's not critical to be shot rock yet. It's more important to get these rocks in a good position. That rock's in a good position. You can play. You don't have to have shot rock till the dust clears at the end.
Exactly. Yeah, you definitely want to try and get position, and that will be indicative of whether Manitoba decides to start peeling or bailing on the end earlier. Right now, the score is indicating Manitoba is going to do a lot of peeling. So, yeah, if you can get some freezes in there, it's going to. You certainly can move rocks later on in the end to get shot rock.
Yeah, he's talking about trying to freeze the back one again, which certainly on this ice, it's there. Corner freeze on the yellow again is not a bad call either.
No, it isn't. Or you can even tap that
Could
red
tap
one to
it.
the back button, and as long as he lines his 2 yellows up, but he's chosen to freeze the back one, which is a good call, just maybe a little bit higher level of difficulty.
It's tougher, but yeah, you freeze the top one, still good. They're calling top 12. They got to go for weight on this. You don't want to leave a ton of separation.
He's got the freeze after all.
Yeah,
so
that's a pretty good shot.
Yeah, it's a great shot. The angles are good. Really hard to get rid of those yellows, especially with that guard up there right now. So.
That's probably shooting over now.
So the lineup of the rocks in the house. Ephraim, or pardon me, Nash, thinking that it goes over the top of the red. Yeah, I would tend to agree, just because of the angle on the 2 yellows. But if you hit the 2 yellows, kill the red at the top of the 4-foot, does it not look like the yellow might jiggle over? You could leave them all lined up to the back one.
Yeah.
You still might have to peel the guard. It might be the right call. You're up by 5. The center guard's a problem.
They have to make a move, right? They have to try to run that eventually if you get half buried. Half buried, yeah.
I don't know how Gordon Tichkowski feels about this, the coach of the Manitoba teams. I know that when Sean Joyce is coaching, you never throw a center guard with last rock, and if you were thinking about it, certainly not with a 5-point lead.
Yeah, he's not stepping in, so he's going to let him kind of switch from defense to offense here, and we'll see how it works out.
Line's great. Got room. It's got a lot of handle. It's gonna glide. Let it die. Let it die.
You do not want to be right on the face of this yellow for them. You could just cue it up.
Did you ever play this?
Yeah, I think you're going to have to make a play on
all
this
day.
soon.
Do you ever play this? All day you play this.
Like, how much
You're
can
going to
you
have
see
to play
this?
it soon.
The
just
question
to-
is how much weight do you want to throw?
Exactly.
Because here's the thing. You hit it right on the
hit it, like, a
nose.
little bit off
The
nose,
top
like,
red, you don't really need to
even
kill it.
nose
Like
is
if you
good.
could roll it over to the edge of the 8-foot, that could give you
Big
2 ways
feel?
in
Yeah,
later. Because
nose.
I do agree with Nash. I don't
you
think
get
it's hitting
nose,
the
do you
back
think?
red one now.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the key is to try and keep your shooter in front of those. I
Keep
think
the
you
shooter right there, and
you certainly don't have to throw it hard.
no, I don't think you want to lose the top red. I think you want to leave it out in the edge of the 8-foot. You might be able to come off of it later. It looks like with the broom, they're playing a little more weight here. They're going to try to kill 2 reds.
Whoa, 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 yeah, yeah, yep, yeah, it's hard. All right, that's fine.
It's a good shot. He hit it probably right where he wanted to and got the best result he could, I think.
Yeah, he's got, at the least, he's got a slash double on the reds right now that could leave him sitting 4, honestly.
And the good part is it's getting hard to get any of those yellows out right now. So
Well, and certainly some risk. If you hit the 2 in the top 8-foot, top 4, they might clip the red at the back of the button.
It might jam on the 3, I don't know. It's close. I think it is there.
yeah, probably your best shot at this point is just peel that center guard.
Yeah.
And then Newfoundland's
still
going to
have
have to
this
make a
one
choice
here.
on whether they replace it. Probably will for now.
But I think you're right, Daryl. I think this is the call. You play the double here and at least force the Newfoundland team to make the choice about
Yeah, hard.
when is the
hard.
right time to make that play in the
Hard.
rings.
Really gotta go. Hard roll. You're good.
Good shot, good peel.
Good draw to it. The thing is, if we draw to it,
Still got 3 rocks left, so I think I'd delay this at this point. Otherwise, it's going to allow them to throw a high hard one and
Well, they're going to
clear
have
a
their
lot of yellow.
intervention now. I wonder if the scoreboard is playing into this at all. If they see this as a possibility to steal more
Or
than
you
one.
want to nudge the yellow forward onto it that way.
no, that's definitely there. I think if we knock this, I think it definitely gets this.
I think you're definitely
And how
playing
much
this
can you
shot
see
at
the
some
red one
point,
over there?
but
That one?
Yeah.
delaying it another rock
How much can you see
would be
this?
what I think my
Well,
preference would
his first shot, his first thought was the straight draw. I don't mind that. Draw to the red one. Corner three's the red
Yeah,
one.
the only
It's a
issue is if you
tough
don't make
shot.
it perfect, you're probably
Well,
giving him a
It's
triple.
either, yeah, you can, like I said, if we can draw, then he blocks you off. Well, like, so what are we looking at, right? Like, you straight draw there is tough.
80%?
Can you throw a board waiter at that and then coming across here, nick him off?
I think we can. I don't even know if we can do it. Like maybe 10.
Yeah, okay, we'll have a look at it for 10-5.
I think
Throw
we can
if
hit
you're
it
going to
with
throw it.
10-5. Yeah.
Yeah, if you're going to throw it, take your time. Good release.
I think it's there with 10-5. Yeah.
He's going to play the slash.
I think 10-5 just to make sure we're not missing.
Interesting. You can certainly make this, which would be a great shot if he makes it and sits Sits 4. If he can clear that back one, which
Yeah, I'm not even sure he's looking to throw it with enough weight to kill everything, but get the one out of the back button. If you could absolutely walk it down, if you could just clip that one at the back button and split them out of the forefoot, leave a wall back there, that would be your best result. But I think I heard them say bumper weight. That's probably a little more. You throw it with, you know, maybe just hack. You could probably keep those rocks around back there.
Okay, I see this is, yeah, I think this is like making a play in here now. I see we've got 3 rocks showing still for yellow, but it's actually only 2.
Oh, yeah.
So that does make a difference. I was looking at the 3 rocks thinking, let's delay it for 1.
Yep. Whoa. Whoa.
So yes, this is the first skip stone here for Ephraim Noel, and this is a long ways out there. That has been the way the game has gone. Chips it in, touches the other stone. Now Manitoba sitting 2. Now it does make it much harder to eliminate any of the yellows for Nash Sugden, because it's jamming on the one that was just rubbed over.
Not doing much though, right?
Yeah, it changed the angles a lot.
That's for 1 though. And that's in the open. You can always, yeah. Like, what does this do for him?
I think that even on the hits right now for Newfoundland, I think the lack of playing on this ice is showing up a little bit. We've noticed that anything that you set with weight out here will run very straight, and I think they're still picking that up based on the fact that this is only their 2nd game.
He's gonna want to run that.
They're going to have their coach's intervention here.
Like that probably drags or spills over, and we got a shot for 2.
So what if we take 6 off? Swap. Then he's
he might get a shot at that.
Yeah, it might open those 2 up, and he's gonna for sure be playing those then.
That
but
probably rolls. Though.
If he guard either one of those, it's fine.
I don't think he can get 2 of those out right now.
No, you'll get 1, but not 2.
What I'm seeing, Sean, is nosing this.
I like rolling
top 2 of those 2 staggered if you can. It's a little bit tight to that top one, but you could nose that, make that double. I think the back one, that middle yellow one spins off the 1 red, kill the 1 red, and you sit 1.
Yeah, but you're sitting 1 behind the T line. I thought they just hit the one in the 12-foot. Hit it, roll out, let him make this shot at the top, because I don't think he's going to have shot rock.
Yeah.
That one at the back button is still going to be shot. Unless you think he can make the double. I'm not sure that he can. If you come directly at the red, I think the best you can do is dead jam it. You can't see all of it.
Yeah, if he hits and rolls in front of those 2 yellows, it's not too bad. The only question is, can he make the double on those reds, which is really hard. But if he throws it hard enough and just skins those top 2 on the top, he might be able to kill those, and then now you're sitting looking at 3. So it's going to be interesting here. Where he rolls to here.
Yeah, hard.
Well, he didn't want to get too close to the nose on this. It's really curling on him.
Oh, no roll.
Well, they may have overswept that. He maybe was just a little tight out of his hand, and they panicked on the brush. The line held well.
I think we have to try the red. I think that's...
It looks like he could probably make the red double if he hits what he can seize with a lot of weight.
Boy, I don't.
But it's going to have to spin out of the floor.
Yeah, I'm not convinced. I think he's got a better chance at the red triple than he does at the red double.
As far as possible, I think we got to do this. 9-5, I'd say.
Because it's coming in at an angle, and he can go over the top on it.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, but you're probably losing the back on it at that point.
Maybe.
You leave him an easy double. But.
Not 9-5. Huh? We're going to try to get as close to nose as possible. We have to get as close to nose as possible. It's going to be tough to get nose. Like, we're not getting nose. But we can get close. What? 9-5.
He's definitely got to just clear those yellows to make this one, have a chance to get this one out of the ring.
Yeah.
Or at least out of the 8-foot.
Whoa.
throw it super hard.
No, and he
In off, in off.
kind of needed to. Touches it, moves the second red one back, but leaves the first one in for shot rock.
You can easily get there. Just throw draw.
Now they're looking at whether there's a triple there for a bunch, I think, or deciding whether they're just going to draw.
The draw's not easy.
No, the draw is not easy.
I don't think it goes over enough. I think it drags too much.
Definitely lower risk. But
I think he might nick.
if he ever clips the red one out of there,
Yeah.
he does have a risk to give him one.
It does.
And
If
it's
it drags
close.
at all, there's a chance it clips it.
Based on the score, I think.
Like even one
You
here's
draw for
fine.
2, and if you only get 1, you're still 6 up. You definitely don't want to give him
I
a
think
free
that
point
drags.
here.
It's not worth it.
Yeah, there's
If we get
definitely,
2
I
here,
think
it's fine.
those rocks are close enough, it will drag a little bit.
Yeah. See that little hole? Got a little bit of backing, but it's all for you guys.
Smart call here, I think.
15-8 still?
This is not an easy draw. I thought they actually might look at the tap, but with that ice, I think he's playing this as a straight draw. Just going to get between the red and the yellow.
Line's great. Tanner. Straight.
By the red now, the question is, does he have enough weight to get there? And it will not, so it'll be a single point here for Manitoba. They restore the 6-point lead, but after 5 ends of play, Newfoundland will get the hammer back, needing to kick up the offense in the 6th end.
The Canadian curling trials. The thing we cried for, fought for, thrown 1,000 rocks for. The podium, just out of reach. But we can almost taste the gold medals in our teeth. Defiant, we take down giants with nothing but the stones in our hands. And in the stands, they wait and see who among us will earn the right to wear the maple leaf.
From cash spiels to Grand Slams, club competitions to world championships, there's a lot to keep up with on the pebbled ice. Stay up to date with the Hardline Curling Show, your weekly source for everything curling, with the latest event results, breaking news, interviews with players, executives, and insiders, plus behind-the-scenes access you won't get anywhere else. Follow us on Facebook, X, Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube. Make sure you don't miss a thing.
Manitoba leading by 6 here, score 7-1 as we begin play in the 6th end.
Line's perfect.
Looking for the first stone into the rings again on the brush.
Bars again.
Certainly don't want to leave him a guard here.
Bars again. You can play 3 first, it's fine.
Well, that was a pretty interesting end we had last end, Sean. There was a lot of different angles and different options, and one of the reasons why I love the game of curling is because no end is the same.
It does make it, a lot of fun for us as well, because when you start looking at the options, the angles, so many choices for both teams as to what they wanted to play. It makes for more interesting ends, for the viewers and for us to talk about as well.
Hard, Matthew. Hard, guys. All right, hold it.
Get the corner guard up this time. Struggled with it a couple of ends ago.
Yeah, I think they're starting to figure things out speed-wise, and probably going to have to figure out a few more things on the hits and how much ice, what's the tolerance on weights a little bit, but they're getting there.
this could be a case of now this team, I think, got here sometime earlier yesterday. They're not one of the group that got in at 1:30 in the morning, but still probably dealing with a little bit of travel fatigue as well. So this is a case where you get through the day, and maybe a split's not bad for day one, and try to get some fresh legs tomorrow, and hopefully you've learned enough about the ice and the speed that you can roll from here.
Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt you'd have to have some travel fatigue based on what they've gone through. And I think this was actually one of the teams that was, I could be wrong, but I think it was one of the teams that was sitting on the tarmac in Toronto when the plane crashed. The Delta plane crashed, and then they had to go back to the gate and get delayed another 6 or 8 hours. So they've seen a lot.
Probably didn't get to leave the airport while they were delayed those 6 hours either. Those airports are not built for comfortable sitting around.
No, they definitely aren't. I mean, it helps a little bit nowadays with all the technology and stuff, and you can watch your movies on your iPad or phone, but it's still not comfortable.
How much? 3/4? I think I like that. I like a big roll, though.
And on the other side of that, for Manitoba men, a chance to move to 4 wins with 1 round-robin game left to play. We talked about the playoff format a little bit. You know, the top 3 are going to make the playoffs. It certainly puts them in a strong position to grab one of those top 3 spots. The Quebec men already at 4-0 in that pool.
Ryan. Hard, buddy. Hard. Hard to get it by the guard.
By the guard, but by the stone in the rings as well. Just slides through the back.
Yeah.
Calling for this stone right down to the face. Actually, if you could get even just... So the stone in the rings is maybe a quarter behind. If you could get 3/4 behind, full 12, maybe bite the 8-foot, kind of Christmas tree them. Got to be a little patient here if you're going to try to get the big end.
You put it wide. We're on the red. We're all over the red. Do you want to try to get a piece and then roll?
This is the 6th stone of the end, so they can move that red stone now. Rolls over, covers their own, and does have a bite of the rings. That's not a bad result.
Yeah, it's a great result. They pushed that one off the center line. They've got some freeze opportunities on those 2 reds, and they've covered up their back ones. So.
I like this. You see full thing,
I was just checking the schedule, Sean, and Manitoba after this game has only got 1 round-robin game that you said left, and that's tomorrow at 12:30. So then they're going to get some rest, actually, before the playoffs start. And looking like right now they're probably going to make those playoffs. So they're probably sitting pretty good right now.
It's always a little tough to know for sure where the cutoff line is, but when it's 3 out of 7 teams, you got to think if 4 wins, that would give you a record of, at worst, 4-2. That should probably make top 3 in 7 teams. It's just hard to say that for sure because in this particular pool, we've got 2 teams that are just starting now.
Yeah. Yeah, they'll definitely be in a good spot, but there's no sure thing, that's for sure.
3/4.
Okay, do you want to put it up here?
Yeah. Is the weight good on the last one, or? That's a lot of ice, isn't it?
Looks like Newfoundland's going to try and protect that one that's on the side of the 4-foot for now.
Still on 2nd stone, so I tend to agree with this. If you're going to play for 3, though, you're going to have to make a decision at what point in the end do you want to come in. Are you coming in? I mean, you've got 1 in a pretty good spot right now. Are you coming in on 3rds first or 3rds second? Well, this might be a little stronger than they would have liked.
We're giving them a double. Curl, see if we can get nose. Okay, whoa. That's fine.
Yeah, he's probably a couple feet heavy on that one, and probably the perfect line, but a couple feet heavy.
Probably
Gives them a reasonable chance to play the double, though.
Yep.
I think I like this way. Yeah, hard.
That was curling already and then looked like maybe it grabbed something as well. It's going to be on the guard.
Yeah, that did not curl naturally. That definitely picked something. So a bit of a break for Newfoundland, and they could use a few of them right now. So let's see if they can take advantage of it. It's interesting. I haven't seen a lot of picks when I've been watching, but I've seen two this game.
Couple this game, yeah.
Two more than I've seen the whole week so far. So.
Where is it? Curl. All the way up, hard. Where is it, guys? 2, 3, okay. Top 12. Yeah, just sweep it here. That's just an unfortunate crowd.
You can get this one past here. Helps the angles.
I was like screaming at the top of my lungs.
Still struggling with the weight calls, though, a little bit. He's asking where it was as they were coming across the hog line. They're calling 2-3 on a rock that's in the 8-foot. It is sliding a lot faster than they're used to yet.
Yeah, it's definitely sliding more than I think most teams are anticipating.
It ended up in an interesting position for them, though. The easiest looking double is the two yellows at the top. The problem is the one that was just thrown. It looks like it comes straight sideways into a red. So he's going to play the slash double. That stone onto the red or the yellow at the edge of the 4-foot. And it's possible that his shooter kills one of the reds playing this too.
Might get over top.
Stuffed it. Now, which one rolled farther? It looks like the yellow rolled farther. So right now, it's Manitoba sitting shot rock on the corner of the button. Second belongs to Newfoundland. Third belongs to Manitoba. Fourth belongs to Newfoundland.
Looks like we're going to get a coach's interaction.
Yeah.
Like if you hit that one and roll under, the red one's coming in. If you hit that one and roll over on top of him, the yellow one's coming in, right? If we can get it, or you can try that double. No, just I think hit that one and just roll here to the S, right? Then what does he do? Then we just come straight back and get him. Yeah, just tell him what you want.
I didn't hate the double. If you play the double on the top two red ones, you almost get the triple. That's it, 3.
I agree, and I think
and you keep your rocks all spread out then.
Right, and you also pretty hard to lose your. You got a lot of room for error, even if you don't make the double, but you hit and roll against that one, you're still sitting great. You can always hit this one later. So he's going to definitely group some rocks together a bit more.
Where we might not have anything. Whoa. Just picking it out. That's okay.
Don't need the double here.
No, he can just nose this one, and looks like he can sit 2, be close, but
would leave a double back, but
there may be a chance with jams too on the side ones. So. But the double's very tough on these two yellows right now. And if you miss it, you probably give him a pretty easy deuce because he's going to be able to split the house pretty wide.
Second shot, so if you go here, if we're still shot, he's got to make a double. And if he makes it, then we make it, right? I don't mind that. I don't play the double.
Good discussion.
Yeah.
9 probably right there. I like a 10.
And he does have room on this side to roll just a little bit. Broom side, he can actually make the double on the reds very difficult. He can't roll a lot and still be second shot, but he could probably roll a foot, and that makes the double across the house almost impossible because you'd be risking the jam.
Make him make the hard shot, though. Like, we're second shot over there. Even a bit of a roll to the outside's perfect.
Yeah, good comments. You know, he's discussing making Newfoundland's shot tougher, and that's really what you're after.
That's the trick, right? It's easy shots for me, hard shots for you. If you can do that all game long, you usually end up pretty good shape. And every once in a while, you find one of those skips playing against you that makes all the hard shots, and then that strategy doesn't always work. But
no, it doesn't. But gives you better chances.
It does.
Hard.
Yeah. Definitely sits 2.
Yeah, can probably play the double if he had to.
Yeah, he probably could hit it thick enough to clear the yellow one and just move it far enough. But he's going to choose to hit just this one for now. And
we're just going to throw hit and roll. Hit the one on the outside side. We're going to throw the outside and hit that on the left side and roll under their red. Like long roll.
so I missed that, Sean. Is he trying to roll under the red?
Trying to roll all the way under the red. It was just thrown. Don't have to be dead underneath, but get a piece underneath so that he can't hit and stay. Might have floated this one a little bit wide. He's going to have to come off the other stone. He's actually hitting the other one. Will clip it. Does he move it far enough? Oh, it spun back huge at the end. So Manitoba continues to sit 2 right now.
Perfect hit and roll. Yeah. It's going to take off, I think, a hair on this side. Even if you get a big roll, that's not terrible. I like pretty much nose, though. Hair roll and sore shot. I like a hair roll in just so we out count the other one. Just a 10 still.
I'm not sold on where he's looking to roll. I mean, the scoreboard dictates he's going to have to try the shot, but I think if you roll right where he's talking about rolling, you're going to leave him the triple.
Yeah, it's certainly possible. I think he's more thinking about trying to just sit 3 and put the pressure on him, but you're right.
Yeah, I'd be looking to roll bigger, though, so to make the angle no good. I'm not sure he's rolling in at all. Oh, they're holding it.
Whoa! Whoa! Good roll. Get behind, harder.
That's
good shot. Might still give him a
I
triple.
mean, there's still going to be a triple opportunity. It's a little tougher now.
Just hard.
Well, and I think you have to play it, right?
Yeah, the score definitely indicates you have to play it.
So you got to be pretty close to the nose on the first one. Thin clip on the second one and have it come up. Is it easier to come across the top on the third one, or probably easier to come across the top on the third one?
Yeah, I think so. It's definitely there. It's going to have to be
it's
very
probably
precise, but it's
not as easy as he's making it sound.
I know. And there is 2 ways to make it. You could hit it, move the second one really thin and graze it off the inside, or you can hit a little thicker and go over the top and spin them both out. But either one's going to have to be very precise, but I think the score definitely dictates that you have to play it, because getting 1 here is probably not going to be enough.
Really normal at it. Is this? Yeah. Do we need a little off nose, or do we think we need nose?
You can time it off nose.
Okay. I think we throw 9-5 to get rid of all.
The nice thing about it, he's talking about the weight. The nice thing about this one, because you're hitting the first one so close to the nose, you don't have to whip this because you're going to carry most of the weight through on the first one.
Yeah, but you're going to want those rocks when it hits the third one to be spinning pretty good. So.
Yeah. It will take a bit of a spin off the second one, though, so it should gear off the third one. He doesn't have to come out of his shoes when he throws this. Let's put it that way. He
No, definitely not.
can get away with just a normal hit. It's all about hitting the first one right. Physics will take care of the rest.
Whoa. Whoa.
behind a broom
Yeah, might be a little on the outside again. He needed to be close to the nose. It's going to go over the top. He will get 2 of them, but that still leaves that one at the back 8 foot. Another steal point for the Manitoba team. They now have an 8-1 lead, and we see handshakes make it a final. Manitoba moves to 4-1 here in their round robin play. Just the one round robin game left for them tomorrow afternoon. Newfoundland splits their day, their first day of competition here. They're 1-1. They will carry on. They've got 4 more round robin games left, and we've got a lot of action left to come for you here on the Curling Canada YouTube channel. We will have another game starting for you in about 2 hours, 15 minutes. Local time, that's 4:30. And opening ceremonies tonight, so that 8:30 draw tonight might be a little delayed. Stay with us. You can get all the information on curling.ca as far as the schedule. My name is Sean Joyce, Daryl McKee, my partner. We want to thank you for joining us here this afternoon, and stay with us all week long for the rest of this championship action from the 2025 U-18 Curling Championships.